yeah, record.
Okay, so why don't you tell me about taking pictures and sharing them and such?
Yeah, so like definitely like my iPhone is like used for absolutely everything in the lab, and often like in real time, like I'll just shoot a picture of like an experiment or a result that I just got in the moment. I'll shoot this off to my boss and kind of just tell him like, hey, look what happened, and the usual response is like, that looks cool. I have no clue what it is, and so definitely like that's an issue of just not having the capability of annotating directly on my phone, and also probably just being lazy, like to not go and annotate on the computer and then send it because it's kind of just part of my workflow to just go gone.
Right.
Yeah.
So beyond sharing with your boss, like, do you wish that you could more easily, give feedback and share results, like with your students and stuff like that, or other people in your lab, or what do you think about that?
So that's a tough one. That's actually a tough one. Because there's yes and no. Yes and no. So like we've I'll give this kind of like in a structural way, like something that I've pushed for in our lab, and the way like our culture has been changing in the lab, and how a technology would be useful. We found that we have a pretty big lab. We have 30 members in our group, and so obviously, what emerges when you have this many people is you kind of have these like subtopics that people are pursuing. But we found that people weren't really communicating with each other very well. Like you would find out like once every 6 months what like the person sitting next to you was doing, which kind of makes no sense, particularly if you're doing the same thing. Like it just was kind of dumb. So now we've evolved these like subgroup meetings. So every week is another subgroup meeting. So we alternate which subgroup meets, and you have overlap in several, but it's super useful. But again, like there's no central resource for like what happens in these meetings. And so for us always, and this is something we've tried to use the wiki for, is as a place to record kind of what happens in meetings. So what do we do? Well, we make everybody post up their PowerPoints, right? But the subgroup meetings are far less formal. And so, like it would be useful, like often there's just like amazing things that happen just on a chalkboard that like I'll sit and I'll actually take a picture with my iPhone, but then like I'm the only one that was this picture on my iPhone, right? Like, and then I lose my iPhone in a taxi cab, so then that's not particularly helpful either. So like what do you do with this like really valuable piece of brainstorming that happened and it's just gone? And like I find that this is really an issue. Like we recently like started attacking a problem that was happening in one of the subgroups, and I'm not part of that subgroup. And then it came into the main group meeting, and then I'm sitting there, I'm like, guys, this is a problem from 3 years ago. We solved this problem 3 years ago, but because it's new people and they didn't have access to the resources from before, they didn't know that it was an old problem. They thought it was a new problem. They're like, we discovered this thing. And I'm like, no, like we knew about this 3 years ago and like fixed it.
Okay.
So definitely like there's a need for a way of recording things and like keeping things in one place to share with one another. But then again, the questions are like, how do you annotate these things? How do you tag these things? How do you find them?